Hello, Tamily. Welcome to Ask Tamily episode 189. Our guest today is going to be Molly, and her Instagram name is it's Molly Pop, MOLLIP underscore O underscore P. One of the coolest Tamily names possible. Definitely request her, but you probably are already friends with her. So we're going to get to know her a little bit more today. Hey, Molly.
Hello.
Thanks so much for being asked Tamily interview 189. We're super excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, I finally made it. I'm honored to be here.
Well, you're definitely a legend of like your posts in front of the shoes and all that stuff. I think you're so fun. So why don't we start just with getting to know you a little bit better. Just tell us a bit about your background and why you're interested in TAM, and then we'll get into some of our planned questions as well as taking any questions from the chat.
Sure, a little bit about myself. I'm from the Midwest, so I was born and raised here, and I live in Minnesota now. I worked as a hairdresser for quite a few years, and now I'm doing visual merchandising for a company. And I've always been active, so that's kind of how I found TAM, was just because that's what I'm interested in. So
Awesome. So when you think back to when you first started the Tracy Anderson method, when was that and how did you actually come across it?
I had to think hard about it because it's been a long time now since I first started. And I actually was looking through my stuff and I'm like, I think I found this book on Amazon was like the first time I saw anything about Tracy Anderson. And I just flipping through it too, I'm like, I have tons of notes and like meal plans like written out for days. I'm just so particular. I'm like, wow, I don't even remember that. But so that was the first introduction to her. And then I got into hip centric and did that all the way through meta. And then I know streaming started somewhere before I was finished with that. And like I thought, oh, I just want to jump onto streaming so bad. But like the perfectionist in me was like, no, I have to finish this first. So I finished the hip centric and then jumped into meta. So that was, or streaming. So that was 2014, I think, when she started. So it's been like
Awesome.
8 years now. And yeah, it seems like hasn't been that long, but
Well, there's like particular TAM legendariness in actually finishing like continuity and stuff before jumping to streaming. I couldn't do it, and I had to just give up on all the continuity DVDs I bought and just jump into streaming.
yeah.
But it's so interesting to see like how much the method has evolved, because now there's people that do the method that don't realize that there was ever anything like before streaming, or that there's people like you that could have started because of her book,
Yeah.
like, and not
Yeah,
even necessarily the DVDs and stuff. So very cool
goes way
beginning.
back. I know, I'm like, at first I thought maybe I have kind of a boring story, but I'm like, that's pretty far back. That's like OG, right? No?
Absolutely. That's like the definition of OG if you were doing those moves from that book.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. What is something that you love about the method in particular versus any other kind of fitness methods?
Well, like before TAM, I tried a lot of other DVDs and stuff, like programs. And I remember I was doing like P90X, which was, she's talked about that before. Like it tried to do muscle confusion, but it was just like you'd stop at some point and start over again. So I found that I always like bulked up with other things and just didn't get the leanness that I was looking for, or I got bored with whatever I was doing because you just do the same thing over and over. And I did do running for a while too, and I just, for how much I was running, I didn't really feel like it made a difference in my body. So I love that I'm always challenged with the workouts that she gives, and it feels like such a like a mental relief. I know a lot of people talk about that, where it's just like I'm a person that gets really stressed out easily by things and really anxious, and so that time just gives me like a decompression. That's what I love about it.
Absolutely. That is definitely, to me, one of the biggest benefits. Besides the fact, like, of course, you come to it for fitness, but then that becomes the main goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, especially since you were active, before doing this method, what type of results have you seen, both physically and non-physically?
Yeah, I remember like not long after I started the method, there was a friend of mine, and I was even wearing like a long sleeve shirt, so she couldn't really see my arms. So she was like, "Whoa, your arms look incredible!" Like she could see some more definition or something, or maybe they were just leaner. And so that was like one of the first things that I noticed was like my arms and just the how quick the results were too. It was like, wow, I started seeing just physical results first, and that kind of drove me to keep going. And it was just so different. Like, wow, this is interesting. I wanted to do more. So it really kind of sucked me in. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good point that you make because some people talk about like the results taking a long time in the sense of maybe like losing a lot of weight or seeing like enormous changes with your body. But you do also see those little things like along the way that are noticeable, even just from doing a few workouts. Like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of that combination.
Yeah. So I think it kind of started losing all the bulkiness that I quickly, that I had gained from all the other workouts.
Yes, exactly. Um, so at this point, do you do advanced, intermediate, or beginner, or do you ever switch around?
I do switch around a little bit. I usually start out in advanced just because it keeps me the most engaged out of any of them and challenged. But if at the end of the week, if I'm feeling like I just physically or mentally need like a little bit of a break, or I just want something different by the end of the week, I'll go to intermediate. But I always start with advanced. Yeah.
Um, what would you say is something that you can do today that you could not do before you started this method so many years ago?
I think a lot of people mention the inversions, which I had never really done any sort of anything like that. And so that was challenging at first. And I'm much better at it now than I was before. Balance is getting much better, much easier.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the unconventional pieces of
Yeah.
this method. Like, you're not usually going to have a headstand in any other work.
Yeah, I was never a yogi, so I was like never had done that before.
Well, and I remember Tracy said something one time, maybe in one of the after class chats, that like it's more mental than physical to be able to do that. And it's from so many of the other moves that she has us doing and getting comfortable with things that, are not just standing or sitting that
Yeah.
you're like able to kind of change something in your mind to be able to do inversions like that, especially some of the more sophisticated ones. I'm like lucky I can get my knees on my elbows. A lot of the ones that she's been doing in advance over the past year or two have really taken it to another level.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I like that it helps me just like slow down because I'm such like a fast-paced move on to the next thing kind of person. So like
Right.
moves like that do just help me stretch and slow down and focus. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you're not
helpful.
gonna like rush the headstand to get to the next
Yeah,
move.
exactly.
Is there any specific move that you used to hate that you now love?
I think I always hated planks just because I am so like stiff in my neck and shoulders too that I use my shoulders way too much. I rely on them too much. So that would always I'd probably be doing it wrong and just get pain or something. So it's just like, oh, and they felt so long. And but now I think I just focus more on how to do it correctly, and I actually really like them, like the star planks, and yeah, love it.
Yeah, some of those things like star planks, I mean, you go from thinking there's no way that I can ever do this to like you almost can't even remember that. It's like you just find that strength and balance and everything, and it's no longer difficult.
Yeah, yeah. It becomes much easier. Like you look back and see how much further you've come. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the parts that are amazing, where it's like, could I really not do that before? Like now I do it. And it's like, Doesn't even seem that difficult. Not that I'm trying to get Tracy to challenge us any more than she already does.
Yeah, right. It's not a challenge.
Right. Not a challenge for the record. Can you tell us about how the community support from the Tamily adds to the overall effectiveness of the method for you personally?
Yeah, I think it's really encouraging just to see, well, especially I'm not a mom, so like other people that are doing it with kids and distractions, it's like, wow, how, I make it a struggle, with a busy schedule or whatever, but it's like that would be even tougher. So that's really encouraging just to see like, wow, they're, doing it despite all of these challenges, extra challenges, or even, at 37 weeks pregnant. That's amazing, to see all of those.
Exactly.
And just the encouragement to keep going and then little tips and tricks too that everybody has, like something that's worked for them or a new heater or, it's just little things like that are just very helpful.
Yeah, it's like there's always something new to learn or a different way to think about something that, I mean, obviously we get a lot of information from Tracy, and especially with, after class chats or different tips and the trainers, of course, too. But sometimes it's just something that another person in the Tamily explains that can like make something click for you. And that, I don't know, I think that's the thing that really sets this method apart from everything else.
Yeah, I know it was like I think Clean and Lean Connie's account. I watched her ask Tamily a while back, and like she was talking about just relaxing your neck, when you're doing sort of ab moves, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really stiff in my neck when I'm doing that. So little things like that you pick up from other Tamily members are very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think like something that small probably makes a difference in like your overall core strength and ability to, develop abs further. So it's amazing. And it's really amazing too. It can be this many people on for this many years and there's still like more tips and tricks to learn.
Yeah, always learning.
What would be your advice to someone that is new to the Tamily or new to the method?
I think I would say to not give up because it's like the book, the 30-day method. I know she said she tried not to have it be like you'll achieve your perfect body in 30 days because it's a lifestyle. So you have to keep going past where it feels difficult,
Yeah.
It's not going to be a quick fix. It's more of a lifestyle. So just stick with it and you'll see the changes. And then you crave it after a while. I know all of us probably feel that way where it's like, oh, I didn't get my workout in. You can feel it in other ways, more even just other than physically, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you don't get it done in the morning and then you're having a bad day, then you think, oh yeah, there was that thing that I didn't do this morning.
Yeah.
Exactly. It ends up affecting things so much more. And you know what? I think that's a good point too, because I think sometimes, especially in the beginning, people feel really guilty if they miss a workout. Because they're thinking like all my physical results are going to disappear because I didn't work out for 2 days straight, and that's not what's going to happen. But what's going to happen is you don't process mental or emotional stressors as well without the workout, and like that's the reason to do it every day, not because like you're going to lose all the muscle tone that you built just because you didn't work out 7 days in a week.
Yeah.
Who else would you like to see featured in an Ask Tamily interview? I know you've watched Connie and I'm sure others. Are there any suggestions you have that you want to nominate? Maybe some people that are watching now?
Yeah, I had to go back just to make sure it wasn't someone that had already been on one. I know Sura, which SAB Tam is her handle.
Yeah.
She was one of them. I don't think that has been on. And then Jessica with Zeitgeist, I think is her.
Okay.
I don't think she's been interviewed.
Okay.
So yeah, those are a couple of the people that I'd like to see.
All right. Well, if they're watching, which my phone won't let me see who's watching right now, but there's people watching, or if they see this after, we should definitely get them scheduled. And of course, anyone who wants to be interviewed can always message us. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you're from and what you do when you're not tanning?
Yes, it's like I said, I was born in the Midwest, so I grew up in Wisconsin and in Minnesota, so not very far.
Mhm.
But I when I'm not tamming, I'm usually cooking or reading. I'm a vegan, so maybe not a lot of people know that, but I like to cook a lot of healthy foods, and I just found this app called Five Sec Health, and it has like this cool feature where you can even put items in your grocery list. So it makes it super helpful. So I've just been like on this kick of really healthy cooking. And
That's excellent. I try to get on kicks like that, but it goes in phases.
yeah, well, I'm sure it will with me too. But
What would you say is most important to you to maintain balance in your life?
I thrive on routine. So routine is a huge thing for me because like I get anxious when things feel messy, in life. And so like having a good routine with everything is perfect for balance for me. And obviously fitting Tam in there
Mhm.
is the thing that helps the most with stressors and everything. So getting that in and keeping a good balanced routine because I notice if I don't get enough sleep or enough, nutrition, everything kind of feels off balance for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's making sure that stuff is in balance, but it's not just about fitness or just about the nutrition or just about sleep. You're getting each part of the pie to the extent that you need it.
Yeah, and I think that's so great about the method because like Tracy talks about all of that. It's not just like about getting your best body. It's all, like even in the magazines, it's about nutrition and mind wellness, everything encompassed into being your best self overall, not just physical, which is super helpful
Absolutely.
that she has all of those resources for us.
Yeah, and when you think about like what some other methods, kind of advertise or whatever, it's all about the physical aspect. And I mean, you're going to get that, and of course that's why you maybe initially come to it, but it really has to end up being about your whole self, especially when it is something like fitness is a lifestyle. There isn't any method anyone can do for some short period of time and then be like, okay, I'm done. It's really about that overall approach to your whole life.
Yeah, it is. And I think like I've struggled in the past with, body image and like getting too into the physical aspect of it. And that's so easy to do. Had an eating disorder for a while, and so I struggled with that. So like it's really nice that Tracy just talks about, your whole being well as a, whole everything, not just physically.
Yeah.
It's mentally and everything. So it's not driven just towards body perfection. I mean, that's a big part of it. We all want to be balanced physically
Yeah.
too, but yeah, that's so refreshing to have that, mindset.
Well, we have a couple of questions in the chat. Finding the angles, which I think is Kylie. She would
Mhm.
like to know how long have you been vegan and what made you become vegan?
So I've been vegan for probably 10 years, and it was more just because I didn't like like the tendons and things that I would find in meat, like I was just kind of grossed out by it.
Yes.
But I mean, I love animals too. It's not just that, but so that was like a big reason to start going vegan. And yeah, and then I just felt better eating
Mhm.
that way too. So for me personally, it just worked out really well. Just continue that way. Yeah.
What's one of your favorite vegan dishes to make yourself?
Oh, let's see. Well, like, I don't know if it's necessarily a dish, but I'll like make a bowl. And so
Mhm.
that can vary a little bit, but I make my own hummus. And so I'll do like a sweet potato bowl with quinoa and sweet potato and hummus and put whatever veggies you want in there. So that's really easy. I do a lot
Mhm.
of easy meals just because it's, you need the time to do
Yeah,
other things.
exactly.
But But
Um,
there is like a oh, there's a YouTube lady I watch that has a lot of easy recipes, and I can't think of it. But if I'll put it on my
okay.
Instagram if I think of it.
Yeah. That kind of feeds into a question from Amanda. She said, "Do you have any favorite recipes?" So maybe you can share that for us. And
Yeah,
then,
I do. Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh,
No,
I
no,
just
no.
have like this black bean chili that I make. That's really good. That's like one of my favorite ones. Yeah.
That sounds good. Amanda or Amanda, her name is Amanda
Yeah.
underscore Tam. She also wants to know if you do any of dance cardio in your weekly routine and how often.
I do. It kind of varies a little bit because I tend to get really hungry if I do too
Mhm.
much. So it depends on how much energy I have. You know, if I have the energy, I'll do it after class. Um, Probably 2 or 3 times a week is what I shoot for. If I do more than that, I think I'll get I'll eat too
Mhm.
much after and just kind of cancel out any of the benefits that I got
Mhm.
from getting the cardio in. And
Mhm.
I've been learning some of the new dances as well
Okay.
too, but yeah, it's slow going. It's getting there.
So do you usually do the some of the ones that are in the actual dance cardio section of the website, or do you do any of the live ones?
I do some of the live ones too. I have the schedule hasn't worked out like perfectly with mine to do a
Mhm.
lot of the live cardio, but I have there was one that Derek Edge did, and it was like, oh, this is like my perfect cardio class. His music was just like spot on for
Uh-huh.
me. I was just like, oh, that was like my favorite cardio class ever.
That's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
it's funny with, I mean, there's all kinds of thoughts about the cardio aspect, and I think your point about like not overdoing it makes a really good point. But for anybody who's like me, which I really don't work in cardio and probably didn't do dance cardio for years, trying one of the lives, like I would usually just do like 5 or 7 minutes maybe of, one of the short, low impact or something. But the live is just so fun. Like I did the whole thing the first time that I tried one, and they do teach, some of the brand new dances in the lives. So
Yeah.
just a little plug for people who
Yeah,
don't
that
work
is
with
very cool.
cardio.
Break it down a little bit, repeat it again, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's really
yeah,
nice to, yeah.
yeah. And
But yeah, the
definitely
energy is
having like some of the real songs that go with the dances and all of that stuff. And seeing people in the studio too is fun.
yeah, it is very cool. It's definitely a big energy boost, you
Yeah,
know.
for sure.
For sure.
What do the people who are most important to you think of the method and your dedication to it?
I think like most probably feel that I'm a little crazy, you know, because I'm like bring my weights, you know, with me and work
Uh-huh.
out on vacation, and they're just like, why, you know? Because I used to be more like have to do it every day, you know, and I'm a little more lax with that now. But it was just like, yeah, I gotta bring my weights with me, and I still do travel with them, but I'm
Mhm.
not so crazy about doing it every day. But there's plenty of times, you know, I get stopped by security, you know, because
Mhm.
of my weights, and so yeah, it's just like I've gotten a couple of my nieces to do some classes with me, but other than that, they're just like, you know, it looks different, yeah.
Mhm.
So not yet.
That's fun though. I think even
Yeah.
if, you don't like convert anyone to following the method, it's so nice to have, especially like nieces, see that it's important to you. It's something that's good for you. It's time you're spending on your own wellness, and it just sends a good message to them as well.
Yeah, it does. They had fun. So
Yeah. And maybe
yeah.
one day they'll be method followers.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know.
Um, how do you personally get and stay motivated to work out, especially on such a regular basis?
I don't think it's too hard for me personally. Like I feel like I guess I like I wanted to do it every day and I'm gonna do it every day if I'm determined to. So I'm kind of pretty easily self-motivated, but There are days, like everybody, where I just don't feel like working out, but it's if I just tell myself, focus on like how I'll feel afterwards, if I
Yeah.
just get some movement in, even if it's not advanced class, if I just have beginners where I move for 30 minutes, because it's all about just moving in some way, every day. So that's what I focus on to keep me going or to do some kind of activity, for the day.
Yeah, that is such a good point. Even if you're tired or, just not in the mood for it, even if it's just arms or something, like I don't think you
Mhm.
ever move and then think, gosh, I really wish I wouldn't have done that. Like, you always
Yeah,
feel something positive from it.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Have you faced any challenges in doing the method over the years?
I think just like kind of more because I was so focused on having to do it every day, that was a challenge to like dial it back almost because I had done so many workouts too where it was like more like push really hard,
Mhm.
you know, and so I almost struggled to just be like dial it back because, when Tracy talks about like when you're pushing so hard, you almost push yourself into like a masculinity kind of like I can't remember exactly how she worded it. It was one of her after class chats, about you push your almost your hormones into a
Mhm. Mhm.
masculine
Right.
side. And I do tend to do that more in that kind of a way where it's like I have to do this and really hard and push and push and push. So
Mhm.
I'm getting better about that, just being like because she has classes that are kind of more adrenaline based and then more that are just more stretching and more like dancing on the floor kind of feel.
Yeah.
And so I love that it breaks it up more and I don't feel like I always have to be pushing so hard to
Right.
get results because we don't. It's
Yeah.
like there's a balance. Yeah.
Yeah. That exactly. And that's something I try to remind myself of is like she doesn't say doing a perfect workout is what gets you where you should be. It's doing consistent workouts. Like they might not ever be perfect and you might not, spend 2.5 hours a day, but it's taking that time daily to be consistent. It doesn't have to be, this like over pushing yourself or getting every move or every rep. It's really just more about the consistency that causes those long lasting effects in your like structure and, mentally too.
Yeah. And I find like if I have balance in other areas, I don't need to be like pushing so hard either. If I'm eating well and I'm sleeping, the right amount and getting a really good workout when I do it, in like performing really well, I don't need to do 2 or 3 hours of a workout. It's like everything is more in balance when I'm
Yeah.
focused on everything as a whole instead of just, pounding my workouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The point about performance, like if you really perform every single part of the workout and you're fully like in the game, you're probably going to burn more calories than even if you did, an hour of cardio. Like it's that performance aspect, which you can do regardless of which class you're doing. It's just
Yeah.
about, executing it in that way and giving it your all the whole time.
Yeah.
Would you have any tips for doing TAM while traveling?
It's probably nothing new to anybody, but maybe, I don't know. So I always travel cheap and just do carry on. And so I would always have like my weights at the bottom and then have to pull them all out. So I always travel with them like easy to get out. And then I did try like those water weights that you fill
Okay.
with, which they didn't work out well. So that's maybe a tip to not try those. They had kind of leaked all over and were hard to
Oh,
fill
God.
to the right amount. But yeah, just taking them out and or using something else like water bottles. I'm sure people have used cans and water
Yeah.
bottles and things.
Wine
And then
bottles.
yeah, anything that is about the right weight. Yeah. And then when I do like plan where I'm going, I try to find somewhere that has a space that's I'm
Mhm.
able to work out, and so that's helpful too.
Yeah, yeah, that is a really good point because sometimes the space limitations, especially depending on where you're traveling to, can be difficult. So at least if there's a fitness room with a decent amount. I'm always like rearranging the treadmills and
Yeah,
stuff in those rooms to like get
get out
space.
of the way. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah, exactly.
those are good points. Do you have a particular favorite sneaker to use for workouts, and do you use anything that's different when you're doing cardio?
I do like the Nike double stack for cardio just because
Okay.
I don't have the floors, and so they do give me a little extra bounce to them. I don't really like them for mat work because they're just almost have that like bulky back or you kind of hit yourself too much. But I do like those for cardio. I do want to try the Hokas though because I've heard
Okay.
that's excellent. Those
Yeah.
are my next on my list. But yeah, I have a variety, but yeah, the Nike double stack are my favorite at the moment. So
And do you use heat and humidity at home as well?
I do, yeah. Um, I start with like the steamer and I start warming my room up before because otherwise if I have them going at the same time, it kind of just like cancels out the other one
Mhm.
almost. So I start it before and then start the heat and have like a different humidifier going because I've run into it where it trips my circuit so much.
Mhm.
Like if I have the steamer running because it
Yeah.
must use more wattage or something anyway. But yeah, I've found my little routine that works for that.
Yeah, I have a big orange extension cord going from one room to
Yeah,
the other to avoid tripping the breaker.
the things we do. Yeah,
Um, how
I
does
love it with the
music
heat and humidity.
how does music play into your workout, and do you have any like favorite genre that you use?
It's a huge thing for me because I notice like I perform so much better if it's like music that motivates me
Mhm.
personally. So I'm always making my own playlists. And then also Derek Edge has a good um, amount of them on Spotify too, if you look at
Okay.
his. He has similar music taste, I think, to me. So
Okay.
it's just like, oh, I like yours.
Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah.
follow Derek. I know a lot of people really like Courtney's playlists and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
too. But yeah, I don't know that I've ever had a class with Derek or paid attention. So that's definitely one to check out. And do you have a Spotify that where you create your workouts that people could follow?
Yeah, I'll put it on my account so that they can follow it. But yeah, I'm always
Awesome.
adding new ones, and I did a little tip too. If you search for Derek's, I spelled his name EDGE, and there's no D. So I'm
Okay.
like, I had to text Lindsay about that because it was like I can't find it. Yeah.
Good to know. Um, is there any particular favorite song that you have for like the start of a workout?
Favorite song? Not really, not a favorite one in particular, but like a genre. It's usually like more hip hop. It's
Okay.
like what gets me going. Yeah. So it's usually something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm the same way. I'm definitely gonna have to check out your list as well as
Okay.
Derek. Um, I apologize. I'm just looking on my phone to see if there's any more questions. And the type is very
Oh, no.
small, but there's lots of hearts and smiley faces. So the Tamily loves you, Molly.
Oh,
Um,
and if it's a burning question, I did count the shoes on my wall, and there's 137. So if anybody
that's
had guessed how
awesome.
many there were,
We should have had like some kind of contest. That's
I
pretty
know,
cool.
right? And see.
137 pairs of shoes. I don't know why I love the look of that. It's like one of the most catching like posts to me. Like it's just so fun to see shoes.
Obviously a huge collector. So yeah.
Well, Molly, you're definitely a very noticeable member of the family, especially because of that shoe wall. And it's been awesome getting to know you. Is there anything else you would want to share with the family while you have this audience?
Just to thank everybody because everybody's so encouraging and like I've never had like a negative interaction ever. It's just like everybody's so loving and kind. It's just like so awesome. Yeah. Just a
Yeah, it
big shout out.
really is
Thank you.
amazing that we can gather this many people in an online community and not have negative things being said. But
Yeah.
Definitely. The Tamily is an amazing, amazing community to be part of.
And a thank you to everybody on the Ask Tamily too. Yeah, you guys do a lot of hard
Absolutely.
work. Yeah.
We love it. Well, we will definitely reach out to the two people you mentioned that we should interview. And of course, anyone else that wants to be interviewed can message us also. And right now, your interview will go onto the Ask Tamily page, and then we'll also put it on YouTube in a few days.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Molly. Thanks for being interview 189.